Well, happening now, a new report giving the first comprehensive analysis of what caused a deadly cholera outbreak in Haiti. It's putting the blame squarely on the UN, specifically the UN peacekeepers, and wants the organization held accountable. The outbreak started in 2010. It was in the wake of that devastating earthquake. And the report finds that peacekeepers inadvertently caused the outbreak when sewage from a UN camp contaminated Haiti's largest river. More than 8,000 people died as a result, and hundreds of thousands were sickened. The UN has repeatedly denied responsibility, even when challenged by a Fox News producer.
When is the UN going to address this particular report, which is very comprehensive? And can we have someone here to talk us through what concrete steps the UN is going to be taking to address the issue?
I don't have anything further to say beyond what we've said in the past. We are obviously aware of this latest report.
Claudia Rosett has been covering the UN for years. She's a journalist in residence with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. And Claudia, this report came out from Yale. It's Peacekeeping Without Accountability. That's the title of the report. And as we mentioned, they put the blame squarely on the UN, and the UN doesn't want to take accountability for it. What sort of precedent has been set in the past? I mean, is this typical of the UN?
Oh, yes, this is extremely typical. This is one of the basic problems with the UN. It's immune to claims like this, and there's just no accountability. They've been promising accountability in peacekeeping for years. Remember the peacekeeper rape scandals? Actually, that kind of exploitation is still going on, Jenna, and now we get this. It's just this incredible lack of UN accountability.
Go back to the immunity side of it. The UN having immunity if they do something, inadvertently or intentionally. You mentioned the rape cases in the past. Those are different issues compared to like the cholera outbreak that we're mentioning right now, but it's all in the same vein of not taking accountability. What is the immunity issue here?
The UN has agreements with its member states that basically it is immune from law. The Secretary General can waive this immunity, but it's up to him. And unless that happens, there have been challenges in court. They've gotten nowhere. You really can't sue the UN. So the UN can do whatever it wants to, in theory, and usually get away with it. In theory, it's accountable to its member states, but they're not really being held accountable here either. So you have this giant collective where the problem, Jenna, is the narrative is peacekeepers have gone in from the UN, things will be fine. The peacekeepers, whether they willfully rape the people they're supposed to protect or accidentally through shoddy construction, it was actually bad management, set up sewage facilities that bring cholera into Haiti, which has not had it. There's no place that you can then go and say, well, who's responsible? A head needs to roll. The question you might ask is, who's been fired?
Well, and that is one of the questions that Jonathan Wachtel, one of our producers there at the UN, is trying to get to the bottom of. The UN, it's interesting that when you look at what the UN has done in Haiti, for example, they say, listen, we've vaccinated 3 million children that wouldn't be otherwise vaccinated. We've cleared 80% of the earthquake debris. So they'll take accountability for some of the good things. This, as you mentioned, was inadvertent. It wasn't intentional, obviously, that it happened. It might be due to bad management. But what's to say that it won't happen again, that it won't be repeated when the UN, using our taxpayer money, by the way, goes into a country and something like this happens?
Well, and we're now the suggestion now is that the UN pay compensation to the victims. The UN is saying no. The further problem there is it's American taxpayers who would end up paying for the UN mistake in the main. What you really need here, Jenna, is a huge rethink of how UN peacekeeping is handled, because when things go terribly wrong, there's nobody who can be held to account. That's the basic problem.
That's a big headline there. Claudia, thank you very much. We wanted to take a look at this story, and it's great to talk about it with you again. Thank you.